So that's the topic, navigating from chaos to clarity, how domains actually been through this journey from obviously chaos to where we are. So quick introductions. That's the little agenda that we have, but I'll go through that really quick. So that's me on the left. So I'm Reuben. I'm a data engineer for Domain for the past 2.5 years, maybe 3 years now. And I'm with...
Yeah, hi, I'm Chen Xuan. I'm senior data engineer. Thanks everybody for coming all the way along to here for this session. I've been 2 years in Domain Group, working with Reuben in the same project. Very happy to be here to present our story.
Yeah, so I know you guys have seen that green symbol there. It's everywhere, right? Domain's got lovely marketing. But we call ourselves Domain Group because it's quite a collection. The clicker is, there we go. It's quite a collection of brands. We've got quite a few there. There's a lot more. I couldn't get them in the slides, but we're looking at our business models mainly actually contributing to agent solutions, a lot of consumer solutions, and we are here to talk about specifically about the property data solutions. We call ourselves Domain Insights, so that's a fancy name. But yeah, so quickly jumping in, I think I'll just head into the stages of chaos. I think that's the best part we have. It's the journey, and I tried my best to put an image for each of them, so hopefully that sticks out as well. So without any time that we have, real estate, or as you can see, a state of chaos. It really is. It's quite an unruly landscape. We're just talking about real estate in general, right? That is not a joke. That is an actual screenshot from 7 News, and apparently there's a family in the Ponds that doesn't want to sell their property for 50 million. Yeah, they've been offered 50 million, but they don't want to do that. They want to keep that there. Imagine driving past this place and you're like, oh, that's a nice football field. It's not. It's private property, right? You're going to be kicked out if you're there. So this makes you question, right? How is Australian market, what's the future of the Australian market? Why are people so adamant with not selling their property for 50 million? That's crazy, 50 million. So imagine this in an image, right? How chaotic. So this is me putting a prompt going, hey, Australian market in 2023. That's an image that I could come up with. That's an AI trying to understand what my prompt meant. It's houses on top of each other. It's chaotic. That's the nature of how disruptive real estate really is. Everyone knows, everyone's trying to get a property. Everyone wants to buy a house, sell a house. There's so many topics about how do we get there? What do we do? It's such a topic. It's such a hot topic. Imagine how that translates to data. You're working at different qualities of data. You're looking at different formats. We work with geospatial data, unstructured data. As an agent's got something on paper, we need to get that on a screen to query. There's so many different things. Each source that we pull our data from have their own understanding of what property means, and that's where it gets annoying, right? Because you've got to understand and really behold and go, oh, okay, that's what you think property means, and therefore I will model it that way, right? So there's so much to it. Sadly, that slide does look much better on a MacBook, but just a little stat there, 6% of the addresses have changed since last year, right? So that's quite a small percent. You're looking at really slow-moving data. At the same time, within the company, we actually are looking at really quick moving data. There's 40,000 listings that are going back and forth, right? So the nature of this data that you're working with is already got problems. At the same time, you're working with different dimensions of data. It's not that easy. It really is not that easy. And that's when you start questioning as a company, not just Domain. In general, when you're working with real estate, you're going, hey, what is it that I have in my code stack? Is my code base, my tech stack, everything okay? The decisions you're making start getting questionable, right? I'll hand it over to Chen Xuan, and he's going to talk about how we are finally kind of getting there.
So thanks, Reuben. So in the second stage, what we call is controlled chaos. That's happening pre-DBT. So a bit of story about Domain is 10 years ago. 15 years ago, it starts with one product, which is a website everybody using. And along the way, it has acquired multiple products. So by this stage, I call it silent silos, just like the image shows. So multiple products has established some orders within their own team, but essentially it's like the block you see on the image. There's order, but there's no synergy between each of them. That's the analogy I came up with. In the old state, it's literally like you have a couple of trading team, and they bought cement from that big warehouse with the big hammer everybody knows, and then so that can refer to the same data set. So each team, they use different machines, different technologies to process that data, which the same material, cement. So, and then building different products. The end result is you have the same data, but the result is dramatically different. So about 3 years ago, we started a conversation internally to say, hey, is there a better way to do that, and to make it more efficient, and also have make the result more consistent? So what we end up is, we should thinking as a batching plant mode. You know, for the construction industry, you can order premixed cement, the concrete, based on your requirements, and very efficient, and the quality is controlled. So we come up with this graph here. So as our team, so we started this project about 3 years ago. So as the development team, one of the consideration we have is on the internal side, when we develop how we can double our manufacturing volume in a short time. While on the other side, we deliver those products to our internal customer. How we can keep the customer growth, but also keep them happy. So hand back to Reuben.
Yeah. The clicker is a bit annoying, but anyway. So stage 3. I know you guys saw the image before. I try to get a better image to really show how we're transitioning to something a lot more organized. And this is where we're starting to talk about ETLs, right? There we go. That's not bad. That's something a lot more organized. You look a little at the back there. It's a bit janky, but that's fine. That's just how every pipelines are. So how do we start off? Airflow, right? That everyone knows about Airflow. All of our data was already sitting in Snowflake. It just made sense to have Airflow. But again, we did have conversations with the team. Like, I've been here for like 2 years. We've been using Airflow for ages. There were conversations on, hey, there's so much business output that we want to have, but there's also so much operational overhead. We don't want to have our transformations just mixed up, right? So obviously, everyone knows DBT. We're here for a reason. The infrastructure is a lot more better now. There's obviously so many early wins. There's documentation, there's macros, there's packages, there's obviously the lovely lineage graph that we love showing. Focus on a lot more about data modeling, because now we actually have a focus on just transformations within ETL. But alongside all that, there's also CI, right? Everyone talks about CI/CD. One thing we did want to talk about in focus is something that we call data-oriented CI. It's a little fancy term, but all it does is just something that we've tried to expand the already existing CI. We call it the power of data comparison. So, like everyone, we started to leverage the packages that already exist. I'm just going to shout out a few of them. One of them is DBT unit testing. Very underrated. Go look into that. You can actually start testing your business logic in your pipelines, because your data is not reliable. You can put your data tests, you can put your schema tests, but the data that comes out is still unclear, right? You have certain business logic that you have within your team. You want to make sure that stays. Every time you have frequent pushes, right? Every time you have a PR run happening, there's so much logic that's getting added in. You want to make sure that the existing logic stays the same. The new logic that you've added in is actually doing as expected. The other shout out I want to do is to the DBT expectations. There's so much there. There's a lot of them in there. What we started to do is actually compile a list of functions and tests that we really want to use in that package. And obviously, PipeWriter. All of these kind of just combined and customized together was something that we kind of created for our CI. I'm not going to show how it looks like, but that's just the dummy little thing we picked up from Pipewriter. It's very similar to that, but it basically gives you a comparison of how things look like. You look at your CI runs, you've got your metrics that you've already built, and you're now seeing whether your metrics are actually as expected every CI run, right? So now you know, oh, okay, I've got a release that's coming up. Are things as expected? And that's all you need to do, right? You don't really have to worry too much about querying your tables as long as these metrics and things make sense. Obviously, you would want to, but you don't really have to get too much in detail. This is one of the few things we have. There's so much more, and that's what the next stage is. So bring in Chenchman, and yeah, you can discuss the few more things that we've kind of gone through. There you go. It helps when it's higher.
Oh, yeah. So in stage 4, we've achieved what we call sustained organization, which is at this stage to promote the clarity.
That's the image I could come up with. Like, no AI image can beat the way we are right now.
And
so
actually,
that's pretty much
on domain is modern house, mimicking the pipeline status now is more cleaner and more modern, up to date. So as you can see, with the story here, is from each team processing their own data to now a stage where everybody get the consistent data. What we're trying to achieve from a chaos to a structured future, which matches a domain's value to enable everyone to have confidence in their decision about property. And at this stage, we're powering 5 internal products from our project. So one of the challenges here is we're having 5 times our engineering resources. And meanwhile, we have to continue in developing, and we don't want to introduce a lot more operational burden on our engineering resources. And so we want to enable what we call the knowledge opening. It's essentially like a map. You give everyone, a traveler, as a map, and they can carry out the self-guided tour in the data world. So again, I can't appreciate the power of a DBT document enough. So on top of that, what we've done is we have customized the docs. We also self-hosted in our own environment. So by that, we've enabled everyone inside the domain group have a freedom access to this documentation. Not only our existing customer, but also whoever heard our project, who want to explore that, they are very welcome to come in, explore what's in there, be a self-guided traveler. The next thing we've learned is the art of tagging, seeing the individual trees within a forest. So within that increased number of pipelines, how can we manage that without also introduce more burden to our engineering? So by using tag, we're breaking massive process into individually tagged modules. So that makes us at ease to manage large number of deliver pipelines. So tagging can be really flexible. It can be created based on the final deliver, the products, the scheduling, whatever is needed. So the bottom is how we can actually deliver the data products to this team called Coalesce, which is a single one line of command. And everything can be triggered and delivered on time. So here's an animation of that's our entire the entire pipeline.
Maybe click it again. Yeah, it's supposed to work.
Thanks.
But yeah, what it's supposed to be in a video. Time lapse of us able to select any of our tags, and you can actually have rain on the full pipeline.
What we want to show is how we're using tags to selecting subset of the lineage graph and eventually enlightening the whole graph. Sadly, doesn't seem to be working here. The next thing we want to talk about is using the power of micros. So keep ourselves dry, don't repeat yourself. So we've embedded our transformative logic into this micro. We also call it boilerplating, help us streamline deliverable to internal and external customer. So by powering to 5 products, the logic haven't been really changed. So we put it in the one place and don't need to really repeat. We also personalize the micros to speed up integration with external services and products. So we utilize micros to load data from Snowflake to S3. So that can be embedded into a dbt pipeline. So we're using dbt Cloud Job. So just one job can handle from data source ingestion, transformation, and deliver. I hand back to Reuben to finish that.
So yeah, that's pretty much all of them. There's a lot more. I had to like remove a lot of slides because we are low on time. But yeah, I'm just gonna focus on like where we've been through the journey and finally just the learnings. Like I've been here for a while, but one big thing is just the KISS. Keep it stupid simple. That's one of the best things I've ever learned. Just it really, really helps when you know where you want to keep things trimmed out. This is something that we actually had in production for a while, which is my most embarrassing data engineering journey I've ever had. That thing there was actually just as simple as that on the right. Like it did the same thing, but the excitement of like literally just jumping into DBT at the start made me just go ham. Right? These are things you don't want to do, but this is just the things you end up doing when you're excited at the start of DBT. But that's what things look like now in production, so everyone's happy. But yeah, there's so many possibilities, right? There's so many different ways of just modeling your data, but at the end of the day, it's really down to what are your inputs, what are your outputs, and what do you expect in your outputs, and that's how you design your process, right? It's just as simple as that. And one more, and the last thing, is the culture. One thing I love about Domain and working at Domain is its culture, and the way you think about modeling in DBT is so in line with the way the company works, right? One little example is this image that I'm trying to load. There we go. That's me at the back. That's us just at the office. This is me just shooting a message to everyone when we have a release like a week or two after going, hey, can we just come to the office and discuss? And this just ends up us discussing a few nuances of our project. There's everyone in there. There's a few people sitting here as well that are actually in there. But yeah, it helps. It really helps when you have certain ideas and you're just out there putting it up. The whiteboard's filled with like these lineage graphs that make no sense after the whole the meeting is done, but it helps. Like when you're there, when you're in the zone, it really changes, and that's what I love about Domain, right? You're trying to be DB-tonic. That's a term that the company, the community's got for a while, and that's what we're trying to like embed within Domain. So yeah, culture is key. Thank you.